Now listen, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, okay? If you want to play with puppets, alright? Could you use some really cool big fireball jutsus, or punch things really, really hard, or use really cool weapons, or even poisons, be a little sneaky boy, a little sneaky girl? You could, but you chose puppets. Not shaming, but it's weird. But I am going to tell you how to do it properly. Thanks for tuning in. Speaking of doing it properly, yes sir, you know we had to do it now. For puppet nins, it's really going to depend on your subclass because these guys and gals are going to vary a lot depending on what you choose. So if you choose Puppeteer, which per usual, we'll get into the subclasses a little deeper in a bit, ability score wise, you're going to want intelligence. There's not really a way around it. It's just kind of the best way to go. It makes a lot of sense with a lot of their abilities. You're going to follow that up then with Dex or Con, right? Depends if you want to go higher AC route or if you want to go, tankier, higher health and chakra route. Up to you. Now, as for the other two, for your Soul Crafters and your Juggernauts, you can really go Strength or Intelligence. Typically, you'll probably still want to go for Intelligence just because I believe with Juggernaut, there's even an ability to convert your Intelligence modifier into a Strength modifier. So you'll probably still want to go that route, but you can get away with either or, and then follow that up with a Constitution. It's just better for those classes. I mean, Juggernaut's already going to give you a really high AC, and if I remember correctly, it also limits your AC gain from your other things as well, because it's heavy armor. It's what it is. So Con's going to be way better for those situations. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. For clans and jutsus, you're probably not going to like this answer, but there is no good answer, okay? It's really just going to depend. And kind of on the clan category of things first, real quick, you can use just about anything. It really just depends what kind of puppeteer you're pivoting into, because you might want a fast puppet, you might want one that does a lot of ninjutsu, you might want one that's a little tankier, right? You could even go with funky shit like Hoshigaki, and then you could do like some weird Juggernaut variation where like even if your armor gets broken, you can like transform as Hoshigaki. Like you can just make it work, especially with puppeteers, because they really don't streamline you into like specifically one thing like a lot of other classes will do. And it's the same case with jutsus where it just depends as to what route you're taking, right? Like if you're a ninjutsu specialist, you're almost assuredly going to want some high damaging jutsus, right? Or if you're a weapon specialist, you're going to want buki jutsus. As a puppet nin, you can use both depending on your build. So don't think too much about like, oh, this set of jutsus is really good for this class, or this clans, or these clans are really good for this class. But rather just pick what kind of puppeteer you want to be, and then think about that of like, okay, I should use this chunk of jutsus, this chunk of clans, something in that nature. Now, as for roleplay expectations, puppet nins can be pretty cool. So, we're going to kind of talk about each subclass individually because it's easier to explain that way. If you're a puppeteer, you're kind of the typical puppet master you think of. So you have the puppet that you control that, has some kind of bodily shape to it that you can move around with your chakra strings, right? So lots of cool uses for that, whether that's kind of getting something without you going into harm's way or maybe intimidating someone with it. Lots of unique options roleplay-wise with that. If you're a Juggernaut, you're probably going to be pretty damn intimidating. I can't imagine someone walking up to me in a gigantic suit of armor that looks like it could wreck my shit and being chill about it, So as a Juggernaut, roleplay-wise, you're probably going to be either a small person in a big suit of armor to use or a big person in an also even bigger suit of armor, alright? Lastly, Soul Crafter. Now this one I saved for the last because it's extremely unique and you kind of need to be careful. And even the book kind of guides and talks about this a little bit. Soul Crafters are weird, so they're all about augmenting their body, right? Very cyberpunk-esque. That's just kind of what they do. Roleplay-wise, you're typically going to be some kind of person who has decided for one reason or another that these augments are way more important than your humanity. Which a lack of humanity makes for a very interesting character and can really alter some dynamics. So before picking Soul Crafter, definitely talk to your DM about it because, if you're like an 8-year-old kid that's like thrown away their humanity, you gotta have a really good reason for it. And not just that, but it's gonna alter your whole squad, right? Like you're gonna interact with most other things way weirder than most other people would. So Something to think about if you're being a soul crafter. Your roleplay is going to more than likely be altered pretty drastically. Trust me, I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing the same thing. Combat expectations, imagine that. It really depends on the subclass, okay? If you're Puppeteer, combat-wise, expect to be sitting in the back and having that puppet up front. That being said, it does not mean that you were stuck being a ranged fighter. That's where puppet nins can actually be pretty unique in the sense of your actual character can be pretty ranged and pretty off to themselves, while your puppet can be, melee dependent and can be darn near a weapon specialist, right? As for Juggernaut, that's a pretty set playstyle, right? Like, you're a Juggernaut. It's in the name, okay? You're gonna be the tank, you're gonna be beefy, that's what you're gonna be, and that's where they're most strongest suited. Lastly, Soul Crafter. Again, it's a class that just has a ton of variation of things you can do. Typically, there's actually a lot of like medical and kind of unique healing things that you can do that, tend to work pretty well. But past that, you can again do just about anything. You can either go with the melee route, you can either go with the ranged route. It's really up to you. And that's one reason I actually think the Puppet Nin class is really good for a lot of people. While it can be a little complicated, it's super versatile. It gives you a ton of options. It's almost like Scout Nin, but with a few little alterations of, you got puppets. And now the section y'all probably really wanted me to do, the subclasses, alright? And hopping right into the first one, Puppeteer. So again, kind of like I talked about before, these guys are pretty much your basic puppet guys, alright? They're the ones that have the chakra threads and they're controlling their puppets from afar, okay? So if you want kind of the typical puppet, and you want some freedom to just kind of design some kind of really cool puppet if you're really into that side of character creation, Puppeteer is probably your best bet because it's the least limited in the sense of you can have it do just about anything. So it's really cool in that aspect. Also, again, very versatile. It gives you tons of options of being melee but not melee, or ranged, or shooting ninjutsu out of your puppet, right? Lots of cool things in that realm. And now to the two more unique ones. Alright, first off we got Juggernaut. Now, if you're someone who's watched Naruto Shippuden, which if you're watching this channel, I would be very surprised if you haven't. But if you know Sorcery, before he kind of shows his true form, right, he's got the Juggernaut armor on. That's what it is, alright? So you're going to have some big suit of armor that has a bunch of augments, does a bunch of things, ups your AC by quite a lot. Does a lot of different stuff. So if you like the idea of being a big tanky boy and being inherently like a little Iron Man, hey, Juggernaut's super solid. And last but not least, what probably most y'all are most excited for, think is the most unique, Soul Crafter. Now these guys, again, Naruto Shippuden here, your Sorcery, okay? Sorcery who is augmenting himself, turning himself into a puppet, right? That's what you got going for you. So again, roleplay wise, understand this is a subclass you might want to check with your group and your DM before picking it, because it's just very unique and it's very odd. There's a lot of very particular things, especially depending on the route you take it. Sometimes taking people's weapons and people's things can upgrade you, so then you're going to be a little bit of a thief in some situations, right? So you're going to be very altered in that realm. And as for the combat side of that, I mean, like we already talked about, it's really whatever you want it to be. So if you like the idea of losing your humanity, being a really cool, strong person, but not technically being a person and kind of being a cyberpunk, hey, Soul Crafter's honestly right up your alley. And there you have it. You finally got your Puppet Nin videos. You can stop bothering me about it in the comments, but nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I try to get back to what I can, try to answer all that good stuff. And if you could drop a sub for the boy, alright? We're doing good. I mean, the community just keeps on growing. You guys are amazing. And if you want to stay a big part of this community and somewhere where a lot of us talk and we kind of interact a little bit more, the Discord's a great spot for that. There's a link down in the description. Nonetheless, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'm going to see you all in the next one. Peace out.